Can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he knew he was transporting cocaine? Can you do that, Mr. Jackson? Can you do that?
Hello, my name is Mark Ferry. I'm an attorney at law. Are you here to take a closer look at my everyday duties? Well, you should have seen my last case. Remember this poor woman found dead in her bathtub? That was intense. I'm sorry, that wasn't very sensitive of me. Still, the case was huge and got on the media too. Heard about that? Yes? No? My point is, we're in the middle of a slow season. At least I am. Like there aren't any crimes during summer. What nonsense. But first, I'd like to introduce our extremely reliable, irreplaceable secretary, Miss Podnick. Good morning.
She's
Good morning,
pretty.
Mr. Ferry. There was a phone call from the court. They wanted to talk with you.
A phone call from the court? Did they state their business?
Yes, they requested you take a case as a public defender.
A public defender? What did you tell them?
I was confused a bit and told them that you are a private attorney, but they claimed that you're on the list.
Well, I guess I am.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Well, it was a long time ago. I tried public defense after completing my degree. You know, wanted to do something for the community, for people economically underprivileged.
But you haven't taken any case as a public defender since I started working here, have you?
That's true. I took some of these cases at the beginning of my career, and at some point I ended up here in my dad's office. So when they were calling me from the court, I turned them down once, then for the second time.
I understand.
I thought I'd sent my resignation. Well, it seems I'm still on it.
I told the court that you'd give the answer as soon as possible. Shall I make a call and tell them about your refusal?
No, tell them I accept.
I'm sorry.
I'm serious. I thought I'd have a lot of work after the red bathtub case, but I was wrong. I need to occupy myself with another case.
I understand, but maybe you'd like me to at least check what this case is about?
Please do. I can take any case now.
Of course. I'll let the court know about your decision and ask for more details then.
Excellent. I'll be around.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought in America that, like, regardless if you were a lawyer of any kind, you have to
Hello. This is the Ferry and Sonneberg office. I'm calling back.
you
on
have to
behalf
take
of Mr.
some
Mark
at
Ferry.
least some public defender
Yes,
cases.
He agreed to represent the client. Yes, I'll wait.
Okay, pick up ID for my office.
Yes, I'm
Is this
here.
my office?
Do you have our fax number?
This looks like an office.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
As to whether this is my office.
Mr. Ferry, could you come here, please? I talked with the court. Here are the documents. Please check the nature of the case. One of the pages is the letter of acceptance. You need to sign it, and then I'll fax it back. Or you can send it from your office if you prefer.
No need to wait. Thank you, Mrs. Potnick. I'll pick it up on my way out.
Okay, in the inventory you'll find currently carried items. Some of them are documents which you can analyze to open valuable clues. Open the inventory of your document. This will open the item in the focus mode. Okay.
Okay. What do we have here?
Okay, determine who's the defendant on the case. Full name of the defendant is
Mr. Owen Williams, 25 years old, African American, married. He's still in the detention center because he didn't bail himself out. And what are you charged with, Mr. Williams?
Mr. Owen Williams is accused of violation of 21 U.S. Code 812, prohibited actions described in 841, 842, and 843, as well as violation of Criminal Code RSC 1985 C 46. He remains in detention as he hasn't paid the bail.
Wow. Drug distribution? Participation in an organized criminal group? What have I gotten myself into?
We inform that the public
The
defender...
previous public attorney has passed away, so the court urgently needed another lawyer. They found me.
We inform that the public defender, Mr. Percy Morgan, has recently passed away. Thus, there is an urgent need for nomination of a new attorney. Because of this, the trial has to be postponed until the new defender is appointed. The prosecutor's office, represented by Mr. Ryland Jackson, will continue to work on the case unchanged. Sincerely, okay.
Raylan Jackson. Ruthless and ambitious. Won't be easy with this guy. I should call the DA's office to schedule the meeting.
Right, okay. That would make sense that my office is the one with my name on it. Okay. We do need the ID, okay. We need to call the district attorney's office to set up a meeting.
District Attorney's Office.
Hello, this is Mark Ferry. I'm calling from the Ferry and Sonnenberg office. I'd like to make an appointment with Mr. Raylan Jackson.
The purpose of your visit, sir?
I want to speak with Mr. Jackson about the case DS35789 and to receive an access to gathered evidence and other case-related information. I'm representing the defendant.
One moment, please. Mr. Ferry?
I'm here.
Thank you for your patience. The prosecutor will meet you today. He's available from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please come anytime. Oh, and please take any document which confirms your identity, of course.
Thank you very much. I'll be there. Goodbye.
Well, I already picked up my ID, which is good. Should I call the detention center? And probably speak to my client?
District Detention Center.
Hello, this is Mark Ferry. I'm the public defender for Mr. Owen Williams. He's kept in custody awaiting the trial. I'd like to visit him.
Mr. Williams? Yes, we have him in the register. And are you his attorney?
Yes, public defender.
I have a different name here. Mr. Percy Morgan. But that's not you, right?
Yes, that was the previous attorney, but he passed away. Maybe the court hasn't passed you the information yet.
When did you get the nomination?
Maybe a half hour ago?
Hold on. Maybe we got a fax from the court, but we haven't updated our registers yet.
Okay, do you? Can I see my
Yes?
client?
There is a fax from the court. It seems your information is correct. We'll make the necessary changes in the documentation.
So, when can I meet my client?
Today, we're accepting guests between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
I'll be there. Thanks. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, we're gonna go visit the district attorney. I'm gonna be nice and we're gonna close all of the doors.
Ms. Potnick, I'm leaving. I need my letter of acceptance back.
Of course. Good luck with your case, Mr. Ferry.
Thanks. I'll see you later.
Okay, so letter of acceptance. Do I need to sign this? Dear counsel, we confirm you are the new official public defender of the defendant, Mr. Owen Wilson, as replacement of Mr. Percy Morgan. The proper information is sent to other necessary institutions. Okay. Okay, that's my office, that's the detention center, and that's the district attorney's office. This is where we're going.
Hectic as usual, no matter if it's summer holiday or any other season.
Excuse me, sir. I have to see your pass, please. I can't let you through before I see the pass, sir. Thank you.
Who can I talk to? Hello, people. Okay, Ryland Jackson we're looking for.
Come in.
Good day, Mr. Jackson.
Ah, Mr. Ferry. Welcome. I was a bit surprised that you still take cases as a public defense attorney.
I needed a change.
Really? So now you decided to help a drug dealer and a gangster? I guess you know how it'll probably end, aren't you? And for what? The difference between a public defender's and a private attorney's salaries is beyond comparison. So my question is, why bother?
As I said, I needed a change.
Sounds mysterious and private. I'm not digging deeper then. Have you talked to your client yet?
No, not yet. I'm gonna go visit him after our meeting and checking the evidence.
I'm flattered. You did well visiting me in the first place. There's one thing I'd like to discuss with you, but before that, let's go to the evidence room.
Okay.
I have some questions first.
I have something to talk over with you, too. But maybe we examine the evidence first?
All right, let's go then.
Okay, we will examine the evidence first. We will do that thing first then. Okay.
The evidence room's around here. It's the one with the windowed wall.
This is it. Drugs, pictures taken at the spot, statements, and the police report. The last one won't be introduced in the court.
Because of hearsay? So the man who arrested my client will testify in the court?
That's correct.
There isn't really a lot of it.
Indeed. Your client was caught during a police operation to take down one of the gangs operating in the area. Do you want me to briefly explain the situation?
Yes.
Yes, please. I want to know both perspectives.
Right. Mr. Williams is in his mid-20s. He has a wife and a small kid. He works as an independent taxi driver and a courier.
Independent. Is he self-employed?
Yes, a friendly guy from the neighborhood who can drive you anywhere you want or deliver things directly and faster than UPD, Del-X, or other postal services.
So how did he get himself into, as you claim, criminal activities presented in charges?
2 months ago, Owen was hired by Robin Smith, also known as RS, one of the leaders of the Southside Snakes, a drug-dealing gang working in the area. The defendant was asked to deliver a certain package, and he agreed to it. They met in the tenement house where Robin resided. Meanwhile, Mr. Williams was followed by Detective Roberts. He wanted to find out who was going to be the recipient of the package. Unfortunately, Mr. Williams was stopped on his way by a police patrol, presumably for running a red light. Fearing that the intervention would scare Williams away, Roberts decided to cancel the action and arrest the defendant on the spot. Of course, a package filled with narcotics was found in the passenger seat.
Did he resist?
As far as I know, he didn't. And of course he played dumb, that he didn't know what was in the package, nor he knew he was doing errands for a gang.
Maybe he really didn't know.
Oh, please. He's either really stupid or a good actor. Do you think the jury will buy this story? I really doubt that.
We'll see. Can I work with the evidence now?
Feel free. I'll be in my office. Stop by when you finish. You might have some more questions.
Okay, let's examine the evidence.
So that was the statement presented by my client in the presence of the previous attorney.
I, Owen Williams, hereby state that I am innocent of the given charges, that is, possession and distribution of illegal substances and being part of a criminal organization. My association with Mr. Robert Smith was purely incidental. I was hired to pick up a package in his house in Southside and deliver it to Mr. Jack Taylor in Northside. Mr. Smith called a day beforehand, on the 7th of June, and asked me to come the next morning. That was the first time I spoke with him. I'm a professional driver and courier known in the neighborhood. I also have my ad in the phone book. I do not know possible mutual friends. None of them were mentioned by him, so I suspect he knew my phone number from the book. I arrived at Smith's around 11:30. That was my first time there. When I got to the door, an unknown man opened the door and told me to come inside. It turned out it wasn't Smith. There were 3 people in the living room, including the man who opened the door. One of them stepped forward, greeted me, and introduced himself as Robin Smith. He told me about the package, but not about its content. The package was a duffel bag. When I grabbed it, I didn't feel it was heavy. Smith told me to take the bag to Jack Taylor as fast as possible, as we agreed on the phone. He paid me upfront for the express delivery service. I asked only if the package is fragile, I thought. Based on weight, there might be something made of glass that could be easily broken. Smith denied. I had no idea who the other people were. They looked kind of intimidating and remained silent during the talk, but I didn't see any guns or them on them or in the room. Mr. Smith was also polite to me, so I didn't expect any trouble. After I got out of the place, I wanted to go directly to Mr. Taylor. I was in a bit of a hurry because I wanted to earn more money for today and do other errands. I put the bag in the front passenger seat and drove away. When I crossed the bridge and got to the big crossroad bridge intersection, I ran the red lights. I thought I could make it when they were still yellow. I didn't have to wait long for the consequences. Unluckily, there was a police patrol who witnessed my action and pulled me over. I was angry because I knew I would lose all the money I was going to earn to pay for the ticket. I was cooperative with the police officers. I had my ID and other documents, but they didn't ask me to leave the car. Suddenly, another car appeared and an unknown man in a white shirt got out. He showed his badge and introduced himself as Detective Roberts. He immediately asked me to open the duffel bag. His voice was aggressive, and it seemed the other patrol officers didn't know what was going on. I did as he said. I was shocked because I found a bag of cocaine inside of it. I became anxious and felt that it was a setup. I was arrested on the spot. I could scream something in emotions like I didn't know or something like that. I was taken by the patrol and Detective Roberts stayed there with the bag in my car. I repeat, I'm innocent. I had no idea about the contents of the bag. I wasn't distributing them. I was just delivering a package from one client to another. I could also be part of the criminal organization. I didn't know Mr. Smith or any of his other associates. I was being treated by the police as a potential suspect, not a witness. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all I have to say.
Well, that's the police report written by the officer who detained Williams. Let's take a look.
Okay. On 8th of July 1992 at around 11:40, the unknown suspect, who turned out later to be Mr. Owen Williams, was seen during a police operation code RTV-M23 to crack down a drug gang called the Southside Snakes. Mr. Williams entered the house of the main suspect, Robin Smith, who was under surveillance and remained there for 5 to 10 minutes. Afterward, he left the house carrying a new object, a duffel bag. The commander of the operation, Commissioner Francis Wright, ordered me to follow the suspect because we believed he was transporting illegal drugs. There was a chance that the suspect would meet another key character of the operation, Jack Taylor. Mr. Williams was driving his car, the model stated in the report, towards Northside when he suddenly ran the red light at the crossroads. The incident was spotted by the police patrol, which decided to stop the car. I stepped in during the control because of the risk that Mr. Williams would panic and try to escape from the scene. Mr. Williams seemed to be surprised and anxious. I spotted the duffel bag on the front passenger seat and asked the driver to open it. He did, as I said. When it turned out that the bag was filled with a significant amount of white powder in a smaller plastic bag, he became aggressive. He was arrested on the spot and taken to custody by the police officers from the patrol. The bag was secured by technicians called to the scene and the car was towed to the TCPD No. 2 parking lot for further investigation. Signed, Andrew Roberts. On the 8th of July 1992 in the morning, we were during a routine patrol on the southern port of the north side. Around 11:35, we spotted a yellow sedan that ran the red light. We decided to stop the car to give a fine. The driver was a young adult, around 25, black. We started the whole procedure and the driver didn't resist. Suddenly, another car appeared next to us. The unknown man turned out to be a detective, Andrew Roberts. The stop driver looked quite anxious when he spotted the detective. Detective Roberts asked him to open a duffel bag that was on the passenger's front seat. The man did it and we spotted unidentified narcotics inside. We unholstered our service pistols and ordered the man to get out of the car with his hands in the air. The man used aggressive language towards us but didn't use physical force. Detective Roberts ordered us to handcuff him and take him to the precinct. The arrest time was between 11:40 and 11:45. The arrested man remained silent during our way to the station and refused to talk until he received a public defender.
This is the key evidence. This package with a significant amount of cocaine could send my client behind bars for quite a long time. That's one piece of evidence. Seems the packaged cocaine was transported in this bag. Can I learn something more about it?
Okay, there's nothing else I can have a look at in here. Okay, so let's go talk to Ryland Jackson.
Mark Ferry, did you learn everything you needed from the evidence?
Seems so, but I still have some questions before I go to my client and listen to his version of events.
Of course you do. Before you ask your questions and go, there's one more thing we need to discuss.
And?
Look, we are rivals at the court, but the courtroom is not a place for a cockfight. I'm there to fight for justice, and I don't want to play tug of war. You know what I mean?
You're offering a plea bargain.
That's correct.
I'm a little surprised. That early.
It's not early at all. You're not his first attorney. The death of Mr. Morrigan slowed the whole procedure. I'm just accelerating things.
All right then. You have my attention.
Owen Williams made a foolish mistake. There's no doubt about it.
I disagree, but please continue.
And because of that foolishness, I don't think he's part of the gang. He's a small fry. A trial is a waste of time, and I'd rather avoid spending our resources in this case. We have bigger fish, one of the leaders, and a few real-time gangsters. I want to focus on them.
So, drop the charges then. Why bother?
It's not that simple. Drunk possession is a serious felony. We're at war against narcotics as a society. Remember?
But he didn't even know what he was transporting.
You can't prove it. Do you think the jury is going to believe in that?
And I mean, you also can't prove he knew. So there's that. Can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he knew he was transporting cocaine? Can you do that, Mr. Jackson? Can you do that? That is the question here, Mr. Jackson.
It depends. Maybe this gangster could testify that Williams didn't know about the contents of the bag.
Please, be sensible. You have no idea what this guy's capable of. Maybe he'd help you, or maybe he'd choose to incriminate him too. There's no need. We can end this without going to the court.
So what are you proposing?
We'll drop the charges of being part of a criminal organization and drug distribution. As for drug possession, he'll get 1 year in prison, including time he's already served in the detention center, or pay a $3,000 fine. That's all I can guarantee without chopping my head off.
Thank you. Your offer looks really generous. I'll pass it to my client.
Of course. You said you have some additional questions, right?
Williams had another lawyer. What happened to him?
He passed away.
What happened?
Cancer. Why?
I was just curious about who was representing Mr. Williams.
Well, Mr. Morgan was a very good public defender. He can negotiate very good terms with the prosecution, but his performance at the court was also exceptional. Unfortunately, before I offered him a plea bargain, he'd already been taken to the hospital. Then he passed away, and the court had to find a new defender. You.
I mean, that's very quick. You're saying cancer, but he was taken to hospital and then died at hospital. Like, wouldn't it have been known in advance that he had cancer? Wouldn't he be taking sick leave? I'm suspicious of you, Mr. Jackson.
Thanks. I didn't know that. Can you tell me more about this gang which the police took down?
The South Side Snakes. Mostly street thugs pushing drugs and extorting small local businesses. Leeches.
If they're small fish, then how did they get so much cocaine?
Obviously, we have a much bigger player who's a supplier and has access to drug production means. Taking this gang down was the first step in our ongoing investigation. We hope the leaders will spill the beans.
Anything else?
Your client had contact with one of the leaders, Robin Smith, and his henchmen. They're the guys who gave your bird cocaine to deliver to another key person, Jack Taylor. But Owen Williams never got to his place because he'd been arrested by Officer Andrew Roberts.
Those guys seem to be my key witnesses.
Maybe, but all of them were killed during the police action.
What? All of them are dead?
We wanted to capture them alive, but they refused to lay down their weapons. Only Jack Taylor survived, and right now, he's our key witness in the case, who can lead us to their employers.
So, maybe this guy knows about Williams.
Do you even listen to me? He's our key witness in a much bigger case, Ferry. Don't drag him to the court. You'll endanger both him and the investigation.
I can do you a favor and leave him out of court, but I need his testimony, even if it's written. Let me talk with him. Of course you'll be there the whole time like a normal examination.
All right. We can arrange that. Thank you, Ferry. Is that all?
Can you tell me more about the circumstances of the arrest?
Everything is in the report. Have you read it?
That's not really helpful.
Because I don't really have anything more to add. The guy had a tail since he'd left Smith's house with the package. Then the police stopped Williams for some petty reason, and Detective Roberts intervened. Jackson didn't resist, but he became anxious when they discovered the cocaine. No surprise. I would be too.
Anxious? Maybe surprised?
It doesn't matter really.
It could matter if he really didn't know about the drugs.
He could fake his reaction. Let's leave that subject. It doesn't lead us anywhere. Do you have any more questions or topics to discuss?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, it's telling me to go back to Ferry and Sonnenberg, but I can also go see my client, so I might do that. I might go see my client.
Good day.
Good day, sir. Can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to visit my client.
First and last name of the defendant?
Owen Williams.
May I see your ID? Mr. Ferry, please wait. Ah, yes. We got the notification from the court about the changes in Mr. Williams' legal representation. We've already made necessary changes in the register, and you'll be able to meet your client shortly.
Perfect. Thank you.
Please wait, sir, until we summon you.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, waiting to speak to my client.
Mr. Ferry,
That's me.
please follow me.
That man over there must be Owen Williams.
Take your time, sir.
Good day, Mr. Williams. I'm Mark Ferry from Ferry and Sonnenberg. How do you do?
Hi. Well, I'm alright, I guess. Who are you?
I'm your new lawyer, Mr. Williams. Didn't you get the notice?
No, I didn't. Where's Mr. Morgan? I haven't heard from him for quite a while.
All I know is he passed away. I don't know the details, but I can ask somebody if you want.
There's no need. So are we starting over then? I've already been here for 2 months.
You don't have to worry about the procedures. There'll be no further delays. You have my word on that. I have access to all the evidence, and I'm in contact with the prosecution.
Alright. I guess I'm going to trust you, Mr. Ferry.
Thank you.
So, what do you need from me?
Mr. Williams, I'd like you to tell me more about yourself.
Alright. What would you like to know?
What's your occupation?
I'm a freelance taxi driver mostly. Sometimes I do some errands. I deliver parcels as a courier.
An independent taxi driver courier? Is it difficult to compete with the organized taxi corporations?
It isn't, because in fact, I often work for them as a contractor. I have my own car, so I don't have to rely on the company's vehicles. I also have my own regular clients.
I see. And who are they? Were they those people whom you worked for the last time?
God, no. I didn't have a clue they were gangsters. I have my ad in the phone book, so I pick up some calls with different requests. Sometimes people in the neighborhood hire me beforehand for an exact date because they have some things to settle and need a driver. But of course, for most of the time, I'm in the street and pick up strangers.
Have you got a list of your regular clients?
Sure, my wife can provide you with that. Mostly, they are normal people from the neighborhood.
Your wife, you say. Can you tell me about your family life a bit?
Yeah, I'm married to Susan. We have a small kid, Greg. I love that little rascal so much. We live in the South Side, so the neighborhood isn't the most representative, but there are many good and honest people living there. My parents are still alive. They run a grocery store, and my wife's a nurse at the hospital.
What about your parents-in-law?
What about them?
Are you on good terms with them?
Well, I guess so, but Mr. Richard is quite strict because he served in the army. Miss Rose, on the other hand, is very kind. We don't argue much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
So, what do you need from me?
I've read your testimony at the DA's office, but I'd like you to tell me about the events from that day. Don't skip any details, even if you decided to leave them out with your previous attorney. I need to know everything.
We didn't skip anything.
Mr. Williams, I want you to tell me about the events from that day.
Haven't you read my testimony? It's all there.
I haven't been to the DA's office yet. I wanted to meet you first. Would you mind telling me your story like you did to Mr. Morgan? Besides, you could omit some unnecessary details in the testimony.
Hey, are you suggesting something?
No.
Mr. Williams, I need you to trust me. If there's anything else I should know except the provided information, I must know it.
It's like I said to the police. In the morning of that day, before I went out, I had gotten a call from a guy who wanted me to deliver a package from one guy to him. He said it was quite urgent to go there immediately. He even added the Delex, that courier company, didn't want to meet his request and send somebody there as soon as possible.
Wasn't this a bit odd for you? Delix does that kind of service. I make similar requests from time to time.
Honestly, I didn't care about that. I have a family. I need to bring home the bacon. Collecting people and some deliveries is my job.
Was this the first time that he contacted you? Did you work for him earlier?
That was the first time. The guy's from the north side. At least the address where I was supposed to take the parcel was in that part of the city. Rarely anybody out of my neighborhood calls me to use my services.
All right, let's get back to the day of the arrest.
Okay, so I drove to the given address and I met this Robin fellow. He was from the south side like me. He waited for me in an apartment block, not in the best area even for the south side. But poor people don't mean gangsters immediately. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So, I met him. There were 2 other men there too, but they didn't talk to me at all. I felt quite weird, like I didn't belong there. There was something intimidating in them.
And you still accepted the contract?
As I said, man's gotta eat. I didn't want to turn down that guy's offer and damage my reputation. Besides, those men were quite quick. That Robin guy gave me a duffel bag and asked to deliver it to Mr. Tiller as soon as possible. That's it. I left the apartment and drove to the north side.
What happened next?
Soon after I entered the north side, I was stopped by the police. I thought those pigs did because of my black skin, because obviously people of color don't belong to the rich whites from north side suburbs. But I also considered that I could run a red light.
And then they arrested you?
Not immediately. I pulled over and then a police officer, a regular one, asked me for my driver's license and the vehicle registration. I thought, damn, gonna get a ticket and that's all for my extra money. But then another car came up, a civilian one. The driver, who wore a trench coat, came out and hurriedly approached me and the cop. He showed his badge and introduced himself as Detective Roberts from the TCPD and asked me to open the duffel bag.
Where was it?
Next to me, on the passenger seat. I didn't know what was going on, so I opened it and there was a package wrapped in plastic foil. That detective cut the foil with his knife, and there was a quite lot of white powder inside. I quickly realized there were drugs, and I freaked out.
Did you fight or struggle?
I was extremely upset and scared. Somebody could say I was aggressive, but they were just emotions. I didn't attack or hurt anybody. That's it. That's all my story.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
So, what do you need from me?
Let's talk about your previous attorney. What did he suggest? What kind of strategy did you undertake?
Well, he told me it would be rather difficult to prove I had a serious connection with the gang unless they found key evidence. However, I could have a hard time proving I didn't know I was carrying the drugs. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't. You might find me too optimistic, but I believe that every charge can be discarded if good evidence and arguments are given. And one of the most important things is to win the jury's hearts.
Yes, the jury is the most important thing here, and the odds are in our favor. In a case where it's a criminal deciding, the burden of proof is all on the prosecution. It is up for the prosecution to prove that the client is guilty, not for the client to prove that they are innocent. So for the prosecution to prove all of the charges, so the drug distribution, the fact he was in the gang, or even the drug possession, they would have to prove that he had knowledge that there were drugs in there, that he intended to distribute them, and that he knew the gang. Obviously, that plea bargain has gone in because the prosecution knows that they can't prove within a reasonable doubt in any way, shape, or form that he knew the gang or that he intended to distribute them. Because, yeah, he was a courier. He was traveling, but they think they can prove possession, that he knew he was carrying it, and that he had that intent to carry it, and it's up to them to prove that he knew, or at least to convince the jury of that. It's not our job. It's not my job to convince if that makes sense. I appreciate your optimism, but I'm accused of possessing drugs and other drug-related crimes. Things are worse because I'm black. I'm not naive or stupid, Mr. Williams. People like me go to prison while whites just buy their freedom.
Everything you said is true. However, I still believe we can fight for the best outcome for you.
Mr. Morgan suggested taking a plea bargain if there is any. Do you agree with him? So, what do you need from me?
Let's talk about the parcel, which is the reason you're here.
What do you want to know?
Did you know the bag contained drugs?
God, no, I didn't.
Was the bag your possession itself?
No, it belonged to this Robin guy. He already gave it to me with the contents inside.
And you didn't want to take a peek inside?
Why would I? I delivered many packages to my clients. It isn't really professional to spy on them. All I need to know about the transport is presented by my client. Whether the parcel is fragile and needs extra caution and so on, does it need a bigger trunk, and so on.
Based on your meeting with Robin and his associates, weren't you suspicious about the package?
Normally, I would be, but I drove many people and their goods, which could be suspicious at the first glimpse, but eventually, they were innocent.
All right, so to sum up, you had no idea about the contents of the bag. Nobody told you, nor did you open it and look inside.
Well, I actually opened it.
How come?
The detective forced me to open it when they stopped me. He pointed a gun at me and yelled something like, "Open the bag, but slowly."
Noted.
So, what do you need from me?
You told me already, but I must ask again. Have you ever met any of those guys from the gang? Taylor, Robin Smith, maybe one of his associates?
No, I haven't. That was the first time I met them. I was never interested in criminal life. I wanted to live normally and have a fair, honest job.
I bet you do. Thank you, Mr. Williams. If you happen to remember any other details about these men which might help, let me know. We can't allow the prosecution to use them against you, if there are any.
Right. So, what do you need from me?
I got back from the DA's office. The prosecutor has offered a plea bargain.
All right, I'm listening.
The prosecution promised to drop the charges of being a part of a criminal organization and even drug distribution, but they can't turn a blind eye on possession, though. You would serve a sentence for 1 year, including time already served. That would be around 9 months, if I'm correct. Or you can pay a $3,000 fine.
Wow, I must admit, I didn't expect that. First, I've heard something about dozens of years, or even 25. That's a huge leap. Thank you, Mr. Ferry. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of money, but I think my doors could wait another 9 months more. Still, I'm angry that I'm going to serve a sentence anyway, regardless of the fact I'm totally innocent.
We can do better than that. The prosecution wants to close the case as soon as possible, and they don't want to spend more resources. I'm not saying it will be easy, but if the jury finds you not guilty, you'll not only come back home immediately, but also receive compensation for the time served here, which is worth all of the bail money.
I don't know, sir. I don't want to be greedy, and the risk is quite high.
This is your decision, Mr. Williams. I'm just giving you the options.
All right, Mr. Ferry. I trust you. Please pass the information to the prosecution that I refuse. I'll sign the proper papers too.
Thank you. I will.
So, what do you need from me?
That'll be all for now. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for your time.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Ferry, for helping me.
I'm confident. I reckon we can get him off. I don't think he knew about it. There's no evidence to point that he knew about it, and that's everything that the prosecution has to prove, not me. There's a reason it's innocent until proven guilty. The prosecution has to prove guilt, not the other way around. Okay. Okay, further investigation is unavailable in the demo episode. You're about to advance to the trial stage. You shot yes. So we can't investigate any further.
All rise. Department 2 of the Superior Court is now in session. Judge Theodore Robinson presiding. Please be seated.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The court is now in session. Calling the case of the people of the state versus Mr. Owen Williams. Are both sides ready?
Ready for the people, Your Honor.
Ready for the defense, Your Honor.
Will the bailiff please swear in the jury?
Will the jury please stand and raise your right hand? Do each of you swear that you will fairly try the evidence before this court, and that you will return a true verdict according to the evidence and the instructions of the court? So help you God? Please say I do.
I do.
You may be seated.
We will now hear the opening statement from the prosecution.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're here to decide the fate of the defendant who has been charged with the crime of possessing over 2 pounds of cocaine for dealing and distribution purposes, as well as taking part in organized crime. The defendant has been caught red-handed by the police during a secret operation to crack down the gang. He met the gang members and picked up the bag with drugs and tried to deliver it to another criminal, Mr. Jack Taylor, one of the leaders of the gang. The defendant then was stopped by the police patrol for running the lights, but he was also followed by Detective Andrew Roberts for the whole time. He's the one who decided to enter the scene and arrest the suspect. The police indeed found a bag containing the drugs, which was the direct purpose of arresting on the spot. The evidence and testimonies I present will prove to you that the defendant is guilty as charged.
Thank you, counsel. Let's hear the defense's opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, under the law, my client is presumed innocent until proven guilty. You've already heard serious accusations against my client, Mr. Owen Williams. You can understand that Mr. Williams is a crook working for a criminal organization. The fact is, he's a humble taxi driver and a courier. That day he was just doing his regular job and got a call from one of his many clients to deliver a package. Unfortunately, it turned out that his employer was a member of a gang. And what's more, the police planned that day to end the criminal activity of that group. Mr. Williams was extremely unlucky. He didn't know who he was working for, nor did he know the contents of the package. During this trial, you'll hear no real evidence against my client to prove charges of that caliber. My client is not guilty, and I'll prove it.
Prosecution may call its first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Detective Andrew Roberts from TCPD, Gang and Narcotics Division.
Name and surname?
Andrew Roberts.
Please raise your hand and repeat after me. I, Andrew Roberts.
I, Andrew Roberts, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give to the court in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I've been here many times. I remember the oath by heart.
Detective Andrew Roberts, I remind you that you are at the court and there are procedures here. Please treat the officials with respect and speak when you are asked to. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
I guess Mr. Detective is a hothead, or maybe he's flexible when it comes to formalities. Wonder if I can use that.
Mr. Roberts, please state your profession.
I'm a detective in TCPD, Gangs and Narcotics Division.
How are you related to the case?
I was the one who arrested Mr. Williams.
Why did you arrest the defendant?
He was transporting a bag of cocaine.
How much?
Around 2 pounds.
Operate that much drugs on his own or on behalf of a criminal organization?
All right, time to step in and spoil the party.
An objection command is a basic and vital tool in every attorney's arsenal. When the other person's evidence, testimony, or questions shouldn't be acknowledged by the court and they might clearly harm your case, you can raise an objection. If raised, the judge then decides whether it should be sustained. Thus, the evidence is discarded or overruled. The evidence will be accepted. Try to oppose the prosecution's question. Okay, so we're objection.
Objection, Your Honor. The question not only calls for speculation, but is also leading.
Sustained. Please stick with the rules of evidence, counsel.
Rules of evidence. Objection. Proper use of objection lowers harm to your case and jury's trust to the prosecution. Be aware, if your objection is overruled, you will lose the jury's favour too. There is no limit to objections which the attorney can make during the trial. However, abusing this command too often in improper situations might disrupt court's proceedings, anger the judge, and will surely affect your rapport with the court, including the jury. It can even lead to the situation in which your next properly used objection won't be taken seriously by the judge, even if it had solid grounds. Note that there will be an active pause after each question. If you decide to move on, you won't be able to raise an objection to that question later. Remember, leading and suggesting questions aren't allowed in direct examination, as well as those unrelated to the case. Gotcha.
How did you know he was transporting the drugs?
To be honest, I wasn't sure.
Please explain.
Mr. Williams happened to appear in the area under surveillance. You see, we were in the middle of an operation to crack down a drug gang called Southside Snakes. We were observing 2 houses belonging to the 2 key figures, Robin Smith and Jack Taylor. The 2 houses are located in 2 different parts of the city, so there were 2 surveilling teams observing suspects at the same time.
And the defendant?
He approached Robin Smith's house, located in Southside. It was morning. Mr. Williams came there by car. He entered the building and left it after a few minutes. He was holding a bag. He got into a car and drove away.
Who did he talk inside the house to?
I don't know, but we knew there were at least 3 people there, all related to the gang, including Robin Smith himself.
What happened next?
I was asked by Commanding Officer, Commissioner Francis Wright, to follow the man because he was probably going to another suspect, Mr. Taylor. In the meantime, the first squad in Southside decided to enter to neutralize suspects.
You arrested the defendant before he reached the destination. Why?
He ran the traffic lights, and the local patrol stopped him. I was worried that they would scare him away, so I decided to step in.
A patrol? How big was it?
2 police officers.
Did you arrest the defendant on the spot?
No, I asked him to open the bag first, the one he took from Smith's.
What was the defendant's behavior?
Oh, he was agitated, like he knew what was coming up.
That's a fucking lie.
I got this.
During direct examination, you can object not only to the prosecution's question, but also to given testimony. It's time to react to Robert's words. Use the objection command in the proper part of the witness speech.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is speculating.
Sustained. The court will remove the part which suggests the reason why the defendant was acting as described. Please continue, counsel.
From now on, you can raise an objection also to testimony during direct examination and cross-examination. Use it wisely because improper use might cost you the jury's rapport. The proper use, on the other hand, can reward you greatly and help win the case. Watch out for situations when the witness evades answering the questions or gives unrelated answers, contradicts themselves. When you see the witness doesn't answer questions, makes assumptions, speculates, or simply lies.
That's a big lie. I wasn't agitated. I remained calm until I saw the cocaine inside the bag.
We'll get there.
Detective Roberts, where was the bag?
In the front passenger seat, but one of the officers claimed the defendant wanted to hide it behind it.
Objection! Hearsay!
What hearsay? It's in the officer's written testimony.
Mr. Roberts, you can only speak for yourself. The objection is sustained. Please continue, Mr. Jackson.
What was inside the bag?
Cocaine.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions. I would like to submit pieces of evidence from number 1 to number 5, the duffel bag, bag of cocaine, the pictures taken on the spot after arresting the defendant, and the complete list of other police officers' statements from the patrol which were witnesses of the arrest. The list covers statements of 2 police officers who were at the time of arrest and 4 other detectives who claim they saw the defendants entering Robin Smith's house and then leaving with the presented evidence.
Thank you, counsel. Would the defense object to any pieces of evidence?
No, Your Honor.
During the full version of the game, you'll have opportunity to question the presented evidence if you can prove it's worthless. Okay.
Does the defense wish to ask any questions to the witness?
Yes,
No,
yes.
Your Honor.
No, I would very, very much like to. Okay. Thank you so much for playing. Okay, so that's the end of it. Okay, so that's why we can't. Okay. Okay. I was very much looking forward to laying into that guy, but I guess we're not laying into that guy. Okay. I'm looking forward to the full episode of this. We're going to get the guy off. We're going to put that police officer in his place. We're going to object to all of the things that need to be objected on. I will be a good lawyer. Dumb things on stream. So many dumb things on stream. Dumb things.